1. I do a lot of work with lumber and sell the finished products to a select few clients, mostly smaller stores. This puts me into shops and markets fairly often, around 3 or 4 times a month, usually delivering the goods or picking up the trade-in stock and parts, depending on the arrangements. That said, I just got home from a drop-off and pickup routine, having scored a solid win with what I'll admit was a subpar, retooled, handicap-friendly working desk and cabinet pairing. In exchange, I got my hot little hands on ridiculously underpriced black walnut I have plans for, meaning I am having an awesome day. Cue the arrival of the Wonder Twins at my workshop door, pounding loud enough that I can hear it over my music. My shop, my rules, my pick of the tunes. I walk to the door, dressed in my flannel finery and fresh sawdust, not happy with anyone but the select few people who know not to knock if they can hear me playing music. I don't do walk-in customers nor allow visitors inside the shop. Did you or did you not build my husband a set of pantry shelves last week? Probably. I know that I definitely delivered some to a seller, yes. Last month. 2 days before Thanksgiving. Whatever, we demand a refund. Take them out immediately. No, I do not do installation or removal. That's a not me department issue. You may leave now. She tries to jostle and get past me into the working area of the shop. Okay, this is a language barrier issue. See yourself out and don't come back like ever. Nobody is going to be allowed inside of the shop. I demand a refund and I will be getting my refund immediately. I'll call the police. Have at it, cowgirl. I'll be pressing charges for what it's worth. I don't know you. She dials her phone, ranting and raving. I lock up the shop and monitor her for the duration. You're gonna get arrested, you sanctimonious prick. Sure. I'll be over here smoking a cigarette. I forbid you to smoke! Yeah, not going to happen. My property, my smoking rules. Kick sand, lady. I'm thinking. I smoke. She fumes. The police arrive and park in my driveway. This doesn't bother me as I could give a rat's tuchus what my neighbors think. Arrest this man for fraud and assault. He threatened me. I point to the cameras installed in my shop exterior, shrugging. Cue the cops nodding to what she's ranting about. Me retrieving the laptop from the dining room table and bringing it out to them. So, to help clear up some confusion, I can show you guys the video. Yes, please. Step over here, please. I oblige. They review the video. Karen suddenly changes the narrative. I'm her employee. Her husband is on the way to prove it. I stole stuff. What? I ask what it is that I purportedly stole and for a description. None available. She is demanding access to the shop, saying she definitely saw it earlier in the day. Definitely close to her lunch break. Double what? I tell the cops to scroll back to around 2 o'clock in that afternoon. Then she's changing the timeline to yesterday again. I ask for the specific time of day. Another change of narrative. Now I've stolen cash from her. Yeah, my patience died with that one. If she can't keep her story straight, allow me to do it with mine. I don't know her, her husband, or their many problems. I do know that she is trying to get into my shop, and I will be pressing charges for the attempts. Plus trespassing, and being an expletive deleted. Not my finest moment. Cops scribble their notes, take our names and details, escort her from the property, and remind her to not make it difficult on herself by returning. They make a reasonable request that nobody presses charges, which is cool with me. Karen required further discussion on the topic, and similarly obliges. I close up the shop for the night, sit on my front porch and wait. Doesn't take long before her husband shows up, not demanding a damned thing, just issuing well-worn apologies for his wife's behavior. We shake hands, share a few laughs, and I do indicate that I have no interest in being any part of future direct transactions with him. I do point out where he can get more of my finished product, if he's so inclined, and off he goes to a place that I do not envy. I fired the client to give out my address to Karen, and I stated that I would not be able to fulfill any future business with them. I don't mind the loss and can probably get a better gig if I wait for it. Suffice to say, it's not been a good day so far, on the average. If you're listening to this, Karen, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I hope that you fall on your keys and stub your toes on Legos in the dark. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. 2. I worked at a grocery store as a courtesy clerk and cashier. I have many stories to tell in my short time there. I was bagging this lady's groceries while the cashier, Ash, as she will be referred to, was just doing her thing, making small talk about the local festival, the usual. She got to a jar of hummus, rang it up, and the lady stopped her.
That wasn't the right price. It was supposed to be cheaper.
Well, what was it supposed to be?
It said $2.99 where I found it.
I can have Jay go check the price and see if we do need it fixed. I happily did. To nobody's surprise, it rang up at the right price. The only other thing in that roll was off-brand hummus for $2.99. I went to go explain that she grabbed the wrong one, and all hell broke loose. Ma'am, the price rung up right. It is supposed to be that price. It was this one, holding up the off-brand dip. We can void it off for you and sell you this one if you would like.
Well, I wanted the name brand and it said $2.99. I want to get it for $2.99.
Ma'am, we have to document the reasons why we change prices. Just because you want it for $2.99 doesn't mean we change it to $2.99. Corporate has gotten onto my store a lot for doing things like that, so we're under high watch, so I wasn't going to get in trouble because of a crazy person's dip.
I want to speak to your manager.
Well, they're at the service desk, but there's a big line for them, so it will be a bit... I can try to call them.
I want to speak to your manager directly. You guys are supposed to be nice and care about customers.
At this point, she was yelling very loud, disrespecting both me and Ash. Saying things that made Ash start being visibly anxious, almost to the point of tears. I ask if she's okay. She isn't. I tell her to go and get something to drink and I'll take over. The lady was furious at that.
Where is she going? She wasn't done checking me out.
She needed to go do something. I'll happily take over for her.
You taking over doesn't help the situation.
Okay, I'll bring over my boss and she can talk to you. I paged for the front-end manager to come to my lane. By this time, there's a huge line for the lane, 5 or 6 people behind her. The manager comes by, asking where Ash was. I said that she was feeling overwhelmed and had to walk away. The manager then proceeds to talk to the customer. Hello, ma'am. Sorry about the wait. What seems to be the issue?
I just wanted my hummus for $2.99 and he won't do it.
Is this true, Jay? Yes, it is. I went to check before Ash stepped out, and the off-brand one was the $2.99 one. I grabbed her one of the same flavor in that brand, I grab it and show her, and she got upset at me and Ash for not just marking it down, eventually yelling at us and belittling us. Ma'am, I'm going to void off the hummus. If you come by here and harass my workers again, I will kick you out. These are people you're talking to, not just some robot. They have feelings. You may not, but others do. Your total is $30.06. Would you like to use a loyalty card? The lady paid for it while complaining about how bad the service is, how they mistreated her. The next person in line called her out, saying that karma's a bitch just like her. The next person was a regular of mine, really nice lady, uses a ton of coupons and is really nice about it. Always love checking her out. She asked if I was okay. I was, but Ash wasn't. After that rush, I went to go check on Ash. Her makeup was a mess from tears. She thanked me for taking over and letting her leave. She got to the bathroom and just broke down crying. I tried to console her and make sure she was okay. All this over a jar of nut puree. Shaking my head. 3. This happened to me a while ago in my native Germany. I shop for the weekends, and anyone who knows that the German Wochenendeinkauf means shopping like a demented doomsday prepper knows what I mean. So I was trying to shop for the weekend, and since the girlfriend kind of works retail, thus massive respect for the retail workers out there, I get to be on the receiving end of all the crazy stories. And the same way you don't fuck with a sysadmin because he makes the computers run, you don't fuck with retail people because they hand you food. I decided that it was time to shine as an adult and do all my shopping alone and without help. I wore a kind of piss yellow polo shirt because people have to do their laundry at one time or another. I know, such an adult. Very wow. Now, I am over 6'9" tall, if Google does not lie, and look the part. Blonde beard and blue eyes and all, but I have one weakness, one critical weakness. Helping little old ladies. Because I can go to the gym and lift till my arms give out, and I will receive a passable boost to my self-esteem. But when a little old lady asks,
Can you get this 1 kilo bag of flour?
And then proceeds to make big eyes and compare me to Superman and say that I look like they expected Hercules to look, or some other stuff. Yeah, that puts a grin on my face that won't leave for a week. So I am in the store helping the occasional Asian elderly lady out, and doing my shopping when I hear ahem behind me over my headphones. Thinking nothing bad, I just turned my head to the left and to the right, shrugged, and continued my shopping. What follows next is a yank on my in-ear headphones, so they fall out of my ears, and then a tirade of epic proportions from a peroxide blonde. One wearing clothes that would look good on her daughter, but look ridiculous on her. 2, fake tanned. 3, an excessively jewelry wearing. 4, person with a Karen haircut. 5, a nice 5-pointer. I just let her rant and rave while trying to actually figure out what she wants, and she lays into me. I'm apparently dumb, lazy, shiftless, good for nothing, undereducated, and all those good words. She has tried to get my attention for the last 30 minutes. She saw me helping all those little old ladies, and she cleverly deduced I must have been a store employee. So normally I am very reserved with public confrontations because I have a certain size, and when I start yelling, it always looks bad. But I also work as a sysadmin, and while my patience with stupid users is higher than normal, when it snaps, it snaps. People's mail accounts get deleted and so forth. And then we have to wait 5 weeks for the backups to arrive, and sorry, your computer just broke. We got you the new Windows 95 machine to do your work on while we try to fix it. Ha! So I'm thinking, well, she probably has had a bad day today. Her fake tan seeped into her brain. I know, let's be good, clear this up, and I'll be on my way. Water under the bridge, right? Except she poked me in the chest, her shrill yapping accentuating that I now needed to jump her like a little slave. Poke, 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 poke. Sysadmin mode from hell activated. I don't work for this store and I will not help you. Get a manager if you're that disabled. I naively thought this was the end of it and put my headphones back in, but left one out as the constant stream of yapping disappeared. This alerted me to the Karen returning. This time with a manager in tow, a pimply-faced youngling without a beard that looked intensely uncomfortable while trying to get a word in. She demanded I get fired on the spot for being rude to her. I turned to the manager and quit on the spot, going that I would have expected him to care if one of his best employees was treated like that by a customer. That I was in half a mind to hand back the shirt right now on the floor and shop bare-chested. And since I no longer worked for him, I was now free to shop in the alcohol section during daytime, and I was intending to get good and drunk tonight. As an added bonus, I went down to Karen's eye level and added that if she decided to lay hands on me again, and the store security did not immediately tase her or throw her out of the store, I would see this as an act of attack and would react appropriately, doing the job for them. As a last thank you for all those paychecks, and because not another of the abused workers here would lay a hand on her. And then I gave her my best, I'm 5 minutes away from turning into a berserker. You feel lucky, bitch. Smile. Oh, there was screaming afterwards, and accusations of being overly violent, but I just put my headphones in, turned around, and lumbered back to the liquor section. 10 minutes later, the manager is back, this time alone. I unplug my headphones and ask him what he wants. He says he is very sorry, but he has looked, and he knows everyone, but apparently they don't have me on file as an employee. So was I actually sure I worked here? Nope. Just thought instead of putting you in an awkward situation, I would do what was expected of me, and say what everyone in earshot was thinking. End of the song and dance was he accompanied me to the register, and personally applied his managerial discount to my Wochenend Ankauf. Let's just say I do intend to return to this store. 4. At my store, we occasionally get people trying to get their money back for free, when they have very clearly purchased a perfectly good product. So, one of the girls I work with, workmate WM, worked a Sunday shift where a customer, C, purchased around $90 worth of stock, which is a relatively large spend for our store. Our average sale is around $30 as we get a lot of kids. Anyway, WM remembered that customer because she spent a lot and was the only person that day to use an Amex card instead of EFTPOS and Visa. The next day, I was working with WM and we got a cell phone call from C, claiming that she had been double charged for her $90 purchase the previous day, which WM immediately thought was fishy because there was literally no way that could happen on our system, unless the entire transaction was put through twice and the person paid twice. Giving her the benefit of the doubt, WM calmly said, "Yep, come back in with your receipt and we can refund you." But C was having none of it. She claimed that she lived out of the city and wasn't planning on coming back in for a while, so couldn't we just refund her over the phone? Our system only allows refunds in person, and we have to have proof of purchase to give somebody their money back, logically. So WM explained that to C, who then asked if she could get a refund over email. WM, again, said that we literally can't do that. Besides not having proof of purchase, we are physically unable to reimburse money in that fashion. C had a huge angry rant at WM, who just and sorryed until C hung up. She turned to me and explained what happened. We looked up the transactions from yesterday and found a digital copy of her receipt, as well as a transcript of every transaction from the day, so we could pinpoint when she came in and what she got. Shockingly, there was no evidence of a double charge. When WM was away on break, I got a phone call from C's friend, F. F angrily told me that C had been double charged, and she was told she would have to come back to get a refund, and she's not planning on visiting the city anytime soon. And is there anything else you can do? I calmly told her that we weren't able to process refunds digitally or over the phone. I also explained that we looked up the purchase and had absolutely no record of a double charge, which we can show her when she comes in. Unfortunately, because we have no evidence of an overcharge in our end, I told her that we would need both a receipt and a bank statement to show us that her card had been charged twice from our company on the same day. If they could do that, we could happily refund. If not, they would likely have to contact the bank, as the error seems to be between them and the bank and not our system. F grumpily said thanks and hung up. We never heard from them again. Ironically, WM served C again the next day, and C didn't say a word about the matter. If you've worked retail, you know that one of the most satisfying things in the world is very politely explaining exactly why someone is wrong. And they can't get mad at you because you're both right and civil. 5. So a few years ago, I think either 2016 or 2017, I was in my last year of college, and often the only time I had available to go grocery shopping was during the dead hours of the night because #senior papers. This actually was usually quite nice, since the town I lived in was mostly college students or nuclear families, so if there was anyone else at the store, they were likely tired students buying pizza rolls, or parents escaping their kids for a few hours. Plus, I never had to dress to impress anyone, and always went in dingy sweatpants and worn-out shirts. Keep this in mind, that I was in your typical college senior outfit all the time I went shopping. Never dressed like an employee. Well, one night I went shopping, and I found all my items fairly easily. I honestly had the store memorized because it had the cheapest products, and I was there almost every week. So I go to checkout, and instead of waiting in the line for the one available cashier they have on staff, I opt for the self-checkout. I pick a checkout station that is facing the entrance and exit of the store. I crave the sweet release of my bed, and the closer I am to the door, the closer I am to my bed. Not really, I just chose a random one anyway. As I'm about halfway through scanning my items, I hear a lady yelling outside the store. For context, I live near Detroit, Michigan, so this was more common than you may think. So all I really thought of it was, that's weird, I guess I used the doors at the other end of the store. However, as I finish that thought, the lady with stereo vocals walks into the store. This woman was about 5'5", heavy build, like 250 plus pounds, and looked to be in her 60s to 70s. Now, I'm a natural eavesdropper, and I'm nosy AF, so I slow down my scanning a little so I can hear what the ruckus is about, and maybe tell my cats about it when I get home. The lady was quite upset and hard to understand through the rage pouring out of her mouth, but from what I could make out, she was apparently mad that the store's staff did not have an electric cart, one of those scooters available and ready for her as she walked in. The poor staff she was yelling at was trying to handle the situation in the best way. They were apologizing, and I saw one of the staff members, there were two of them, I think one was the manager, begin to swiftly walk to the other end of the store. The staff member that was left with the rage woman then started explaining to her that they generally kept the scooters at one end of the store at night to keep track of them, and that the other employee had gone to fetch her one. He asked her to rest at the bench that was by the entrance and exit, and wait just a few moments for the employee to get the cart. The woman obliged, but while grunting stuff about how she is a regular, and they should have had it ready, and this is ridiculous to be treated like this. But she sat down nonetheless. However, this bench she sat on just so happened to be directly in front of the self-checkout I was at. She was about 10 feet away from me though, so I was safe from her tirade. Or so I thought. When she finally sat down, I had just finished up scanning my items, and was getting out my money to put in the machine. Now, as I said before, I'm nosy, so I had been watching the whole scene, and when she sat down I was staring at her, almost in disbelief because it was like 11:30 p.m, and the staff seemed to be extremely nice to her from what I saw. Once the employees saw her sit and chill out a bit, he used his radio and left to seemingly tend to something else in the store. Again, I think he was a manager and she seemed to have chilled out, so it makes sense. She must have felt me watching her spectacle because not a minute after she sat down, she looked at me and made eye contact. She suddenly turned a very bright red and I looked away to put money into the checkout machine and pay for my groceries. Suddenly I hear a loud and audibly angry, "Hello?" I sigh and try to put on my best customer service voice, and I looked up with a concerned and confused look, but an iconic customer service smile, and I say, "Yes?" Heavyset elder Karen huffs and puffs and said, "Where is my scooter?" She seems to be yelling so those in the loading docks at the back of the store can hear her. I furrow my brow and say, "I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about." Still at the self-checkout, mind you, and now with receipt in hand. Karen sighs angrily, which I didn't know was possible, and says, "This man said you were getting me a scooter. Where is it?" I kept my customer service smile on and said, "I'm sorry, I think they sent the guy you were talking to earlier. I don't work here." And I made a motion to my outfit. Remember, sad college senior get-up? She looks like I just slapped her mother and started getting up from her seat while saying, "How dare you? Then why are you standing there at the station?" At this point I pushed my cart around and was honestly a little scared to further the conversation. I am a whole 5'3", 110 pounds, and I knew she could and would do damage to me if she had a chance. Mind you, the two employees that were handling her earlier were quite tall men that looked like they liked to keep in shape. She has stood up and seems to be walking toward me while yelling something about respect and paying my salary. And I just tell her with my customer service smile, "I don't work here. I'm sure they're getting a cart for you," and walk out of the store. I didn't even look back because I didn't want to give her a chance to engage with me again. But I assume she must have been trying to follow me, because I hear the voice of the assumed manager employee sternly say, "Ma'am, she was a customer like you. Please sit down and wait." And she either slowly stopped yelling, or I walked far enough away. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, number 80. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Number 80 already, eh? Is it just me, or is the number of phishing emails going out there increasing? And it's not like they're trying any harder. I got one the other day from Netflix, and it was phrased in a way Netflix would never phrase it. Plus, they also, you've probably got this one yourself where it tells you that the billing period is ending, you have to remedy it quick. I swear to God, I'm getting more and more of these things to all my email accounts, because I've got like I've got like 3. I've got my business one, which is kingofthecities@gmail.com. That's for this account. I've got my personal one, which is a different address. And I've got the one I use for when I'm joining a website and I'm not sure if I can trust them yet. Then I'll give them that one just in case they spam me. And if it turns out, okay, I can trust that website, that's perfectly fine, I will then put my proper email address in. But yeah, just more junk mail all round, it seems. Just something I noticed. Okay, and with that, I'm gonna head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.